You're listening to the Agent and the Fan podcast with sports agent Chris Leible and fan Lou Columna.
Welcome, everybody, to the Agent and the Fan podcast. I'm Chris Leible. I'm the agent. I'm here with my man, Lou Columna. Lou's the fan, Lou. Wow. It's been a crazy stretch. A lot of things have happened. We want to get into it. We have a special guest today joining us. It's our World Series preview. And Lou, your wildest dreams have come true. The Yankees have made it to the World Series, made it back. They hadn't been there in a long time. When was the last time they were there? 27?
2009.
Oh, I thought it was 27 with Gehrig and Ruth.
Wow. It feels that long as a Yankee fan. It feels that long as a Yankee fan. But it's been, listen, man, it's been a long time coming. I'm excited. Yankee fans are excited. You know, and we've mentioned this before. There was no perfect team this year. But listen, you got to play the games, right? You got to play the games. And we've played a great, last round against Cleveland. Phenomenal series. Yes, Cleveland was overmatched, but they played us tough. And the games, regardless, were exciting. The games were super exciting.
Well, they're exciting for you because you're a Yankee fan. I don't think they were that exciting for the Guardians, but
definitely not.
The Guardians, had a great season, but it seemed like the Yankees' path was a lot easier than I think a lot of people expected. I think the Mets had a tough path, as did the Dodgers. I think the National League it was just a National League year as far as I think balance and stronger teams. It seemed like, and the Mets obviously buzzing through and getting to where they got. What they did a great job, but the Dodgers have such a great team, and it ironically, as much as Mookie Betts and Ohtani have contributed, it's been guys like Edman and Hernandez and guys like that who are the ones who have really carried them to this point. So it's very exciting that we're getting here and we're coming up to the World Series, and the Yankees and Dodgers. It's like a renewed rivalry. And I think this year it's very interesting because you have two teams that are hitting on some cylinders. We'll see if the Yankees' seemingly easier road helps them or hurts them when they take on the Dodgers, who had a dogfight with the Mets.
Yeah, I think it's going to help them. I tell you what, though, and I heard Brian Cashman speak about this yesterday, and I agree with him. Those two teams that we're that we're probably mentioning, and that's going to be Baltimore and Houston, they lost. So obviously, they were not good enough to beat Cleveland or Kansas City, for that matter. So yes, when you look at it as a whole, these are not the marquee names or marquee teams, but those marquee names and those marquee teams lost to Kansas City.
No doubt. You can say the same for the Braves. And,
exactly.
Braves had a lot of injuries, and so they weren't maybe performing at their highest level. But I think it's an interesting. It's certainly going to be an exciting series, and I'm looking forward to it. I know before we go any further, we have a special guest joining us. So our guest today is Josh Thole, and Josh is a former Major League catcher. He played for the Mets, Blue Jays. Great guy, somebody I've known a long time. I know he's going to have it. He's doing a lot of great things in the game right now, and I want him to talk about that. But we also obviously we're going to focus on the World Series. I know Josh is getting ready to join us. So when he comes in, is he here yet, Lou?
He's not here yet. He's not here.
Okay, so he should be joining us in a second. So I'm excited to hear Josh's take on the series. I did see him at Citi Field last week. Had a chance to catch up with him because I hadn't seen him in a while. Awesome dude. And I want him to talk about some of the great things he's doing in the game now. He's a smart guy, but really just a quality person. I had a chance to meet him and his sons. And so it's going to be it'll be great to have him on here and joining us and talking about kind of his perspective on it. But and I also want to get into Josh is the one who caught Johan's no-hitter.
Oh, that's
Johan
right.
Santana's no-hitter. So I've known him a long time since he played with I did not represent him, but he played with a bunch of my clients and awesome guy.
So you were at the game. How was the atmosphere at Citi Field?
Oh, the atmosphere was amazing. The Mets fans were just waiting to erupt. I went to all the games at home for the Mets, and the Mets fans were just waiting to erupt. Unfortunately, the first couple of games, the Mets never really could get anything going, and I think that kind of dampened their enthusiasm a little bit. When they did finally win on Game 5 on that Friday, it was a lot of fun to be in that excitement of the crowd. Definitely took me back to the old days of growing up and then eventually working at Chase Stadium. Citi Field is a good place.
I love
Chase Stadium. There's nothing like Chase Stadium. I was at Chase Stadium when crazy things happened in like the early 80s when the Mets were terrible and the place would bounce up and down, like literally.
Yeah.
And like when, they just had the 25th anniversary, Robin Ventura's Grand Slam single, and that stadium was literally like bouncing up and down to the point where you're like, if you were, whatever, it could be kind of scary, but
yeah,
I always was wrapped up in the emotion of it. So
I miss those old stadiums, right? The people talk about when Girardi hit that triple in '96, that they felt the stadium was rocking. I was at the game, where Mattingly hit the home run in '95. I thought the stadium was going to cave. So it's pretty awesome. But we got our guest here. We're welcoming him right now, Josh Thole.
Josh, there you are. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good. Josh, that's Lou. Lou is my partner. So it's the Agent and the Fan podcast. Lou is a very big Yankee fan, as you can see. And really? I'm giving I give the agent perspective of things in the game. So and we're doing a little World Series preview today.
Great. I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Well, thanks for joining us. So Josh, we were just talking about the environment at Citi Field last week. I obviously we had a chance to talk and spend some time together. It was really rocking.
Yeah, I first want to say what a great time I had Chris catching up. I mean, Chris and I go way back, haven't seen each other in a long time. It was great to see a lot of old friends, old faces that I haven't necessarily seen in some time. But Chris, you nailed it. What an atmosphere. I mean, what was it? Probably 45,000 people just jammed wall to wall in there. And, passionate Met fans at that.
No question about it. So we were talking a little bit about, well, first, before we get into the World Series and the matchup and things, Josh, you and I spoke about this, but I mean, obviously you had a good career. You played in the big leagues for a number of years. You did some amazing things. One of the things we just mentioned before you came on was obviously you caught Johan Santana's no-hitter, which obviously was a big moment for in the Mets organization, in their history. Obviously, it was a big moment for me as I was Johan's agent. You caught it, which is obviously an incredible achievement in itself. What do you remember about that night?
Well, it was special. It was a night of my career. Outside of probably my major league debut, it was a night of my career that I'll never forget. As I tell a lot of people, there's moments in your career that always stand out, and then there's moments in your career that you'll never forget. And this is one of the moments that I'll definitely never forget. And quite frankly, I was fortunate enough that it, in fact, probably put me on the map a little bit from just being just the average catcher for the New York Mets to, being part of history.
Yeah, no doubt. And a little story I have. So most people don't know this, but when Johan one of the things that when we negotiated the contract with Johan, the one thing we wanted to get was a suite. So Johan ended up getting a suite as part of the contract at Chase Stadium, which was his first year with the Mets. And then he ended up having to buy the suite for when he was at, what happened here? When he, yeah, there we go. When he ended up, when they moved to Citi Field, and I actually handled the tickets for him for the suite every game. And that, but I would, obviously he handled this, he was in charge of it, and he would, tell me, hey, I need to leave tickets for so-and-so or whoever it was, his family, his friends, whoever it was. And then, I would go to a lot of the games, just either leaving tickets, being there, hanging out, whatever it was. And that night he was like, he's like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, I'm going to stay home. And he was like, you're not going to come to the game? He's like, you should come. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And I ended up staying home. So I wasn't there for the no-hitter.
Well, Chris, I'll say this. You missed some wonderful festivities post-game. Very celebratory, to say the least.
No, I know. And well, it was crazy because I ended up on the phone almost all night because, and Josh, you probably know this because what you're doing now, which I do want to get into, but I was on the phone with the Players Union. We were talking about all the licensing things and all the different things you have to do when a no-hitter is pitched. And I was signing off on all these different things with Johan and going back and forth on the phone with him. And I remember I couldn't even get him on the phone. Using some Mets employees were helping me to talk to him because, he was just everywhere, like you were saying.
Yeah, it was a busy night, to say the least. If Jay Horwitz made it out of that, he will forever survive, because that was a crazy night. I mean, I remember them removing the pitcher's mound, and I think Johan got the pitcher's mound, right? And just taking everybody's jerseys and pads off the wall where Mike Baxter hit in. I mean, it was sheer pandemonium, to say the least.
That's awesome. So Josh, when did you know, hey, this is happening? No matter what, this is happening. When did you get that sense?
I mean, you got the sense in about the 7th inning when Johan stopped chatting everybody up. Chris knows him very well, better than anybody. But Johan's personality is jokester. He's a bit of the comedian, the team comedian. And about the 7th inning, he just sat at the end of the dugout by himself. And that was something that has always stood out to me, of a moment where it was like, all right, this is starting to become real. And then obviously it's not over till it's over. But, about probably the 7th inning.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm assuming he has the ball?
Well, there's a plethora of balls, but I do believe he has the final ball, yes.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
One of my biggest regrets, I would like to go – I wish I would have kept it so Chris could have been he could have been haggling me for
it. That's true. You could have probably got a Rolex out of Johan for that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Next time you talk to him, Chris, tell him I'm still waiting for my painting that he's promised me.
A paint? Oh, I'm going to ask him. I have to ask him now.
Yeah, just tell him me and Terry Collins are waiting for our painting. We were giving him crap on TC's podcast the other day about it. I said, we'll get it one of these days. I don't know when, but we will. He's the best.
Oh,
great teammate, great somebody that great role model for younger players, which is, I mean, we were super fortunate to have that kind of leadership in the clubhouse. We didn't always, that team, we were not always the best team, but we were a very, very young team, a very hungry team. And I always say Johan, David, that group was a big part of keeping the wheels on the tracks for a bit.
Yeah. That makes sense. And Josh, moving along, so post-playing career, we talked about it a little bit, but I'd like people to know all the stuff you're doing, because a lot of times people think athletes either just retire and remove themselves from the grid, or kind of then you hear sometimes of struggles of athletes. You stayed in the game and you've done a lot of great things so far, which is really cool to hear.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. So 2020, I went to spring training with the Yankees. That was COVID year. So I ended up in Scranton. Pennsylvania at the alternate site, which was a challenge in itself. It was quite interesting, to say the very least. Being part of the whole COVID protocol and everything that came with that. But after that season, I decided it was time to wrap it up. These players were getting bigger, stronger, faster, etc. And I had a gap here. So there was 2021. I wasn't sure what to really do with my life. And then at that point, this guy, Harry Marino, who was executive director at Advocates for Minor Leaguers, got in contact with me and said that he was looking to form a union for the minor league baseball players and was looking for an organizer effectively. Thought that I fit the bill pretty good, just coming off the field, that I would know a lot of guys. So make a long story short, we did that. We ended up in a successful union card drive for the minor league players, put nearly 6,000 minor league baseball players into the union, negotiated their first ever collective bargaining agreement. I spent 1 year for servicing them when there would be issues along the way. And then February, I left there and now currently working for Harry in similar spaces of, sports advocacy work. It's that's an important piece for me to make sure that every athlete across the entire spectrum from top to bottom, that there's an outlet for their voice. So doing good work, enjoying it. But, the unionization effort of the minor league baseball players was something near and dear to my heart, given that I have been part of that, making $8,000 a year and sitting at the table, being able to 3x their salaries and do a number of things for minor league baseball players.
No, and that I'm so happy that was done. And we talked about this. I worked with probably nobody's worked with as many minor league baseball players that I have through the years, and very closely with them. And it just, the disparity it was so bad, and the conditions were rough. And this was something that was desperately needed for a long, long time. And I'm so happy that you guys were able to pull this off. And make it happen, and it's going to make a big difference in a lot of people's lives, and deservedly so. These are the guys that are, these are the building blocks that help, build what we see when we watch the World Series.
That's exactly right, Chris. And one thing I'll say is why I feel so passionate about it is it's not the impact of these 6,000 minor league baseball players back in 2022. This is now generationally. This is like hundreds and millions and families. Like, this is the impact that just had was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's awesome stuff. So, you all right?
Was that my house?
I don't think it was mine.
It wasn't mine. It wasn't mine.
Might be you, Josh.
Sounded like a fire alarm.
Somebody cooking in the kitchen?
No. Wow. All right. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen again. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think that's great, though. Just to touch on that, a lot of people think they see the major leagues, they see the major leaguers making all this money, not realizing these guys in the minor leagues don't make a lot of money, and they needed that protection.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, listening to guys' stories. I mean, even Latin players in particular from the Dominican Republic who are working construction jobs while they're trying to perform at the highest level is mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's, the old days before baseball, before the players union, came together, you had players would work, star players would work full-time jobs in the offseason to make ends meet. And obviously the game has changed so much, and there's so much money out there, and it needs to be dispersed around properly. And so it's just awesome that you guys have been able to do what you've done. And I'm proud to be a part of the players union myself, especially for things like this, because that's really a great achievement and accomplishment, and something that, like you said, will make a lot of impact on a lot of people for a long, long time. So that's great stuff.
Generational.
Yeah,
generational is right.
So now we have to get to the World Series. Lou is gloating. Obviously, the Mets didn't get there this time, or else the Yankees probably wouldn't even have a chance. But that said,
I wanted a Subway Series.
I mean, it would have been fun. But look, the Dodgers. Look, I grew up. My dad was a huge Brooklyn Dodgers fan. But when the Dodgers left, he hated the Yankees. He always hated the Yankees. When the Dodgers left, he started hating them. When the Mets came, he became a diehard fan. And so, but the Dodgers, Yankees, it's the two preeminent franchises probably in each league over the history of the game. And this season, I think you got, I think that the two best teams ended up on top. What are you, Josh? What do you think? I mean, what do you see going on in this series? You got to see the Mets and Dodgers up close last week, but what do you see?
Well, I see that as an old friend of mine, old teammate of mine, Mark DeRosa, has always said, it's going to come down to pitching. Follow the pitching. Postseason is all about pitching, and I see that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be, quite frankly, in my opinion, who's got the best bullpen and whose bullpen sharp. One thing I will say that I'm concerned about, having been a former player, is this like 5-day leg and like not playing. I think that becomes very dangerous. I think there's a lot of guys, especially the Dodgers bullpen, who was pretty tight in that Mets series for the most part. Yeah. I think having the off days can be impactful. So it's gonna be who can stay sharp for these off days and be ready to ramp up on Friday.
So Josh, do you think the starting pitching or the bullpen is going to be the key for the series?
I think the bullpen's going to be the key, because what we're not seeing, and this is just my opinion and what I've observed, is that like they're not letting the starting pitchers get out of the 4th or 5th inning. So like you have to cover. I'm not worried about covering the 12 or 15 outs at the beginning. I'm more worried about covering the back half of the game when the game's on the line, and how and usage and overusage and all of that. So I do believe, personally, I believe it's going to be the bullpen that's going to be the X factor in this whole thing. I mean, it's going to be interesting if the Dodgers can get Gratterall back. That would be. I heard there's a rumor that he may be coming back. I think that'll be an interesting piece. How sharp is he, having been on the injured list, etc. So I know the Yankees bullpen is they've kind of solidified those roles with Tommy and Hill and Weaver, I believe, on the back end, Clay Holmes. So we'll see. But I think. I do believe we're going to see high-scoring games, two extremely high-powered offenses, fun to watch at the plate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I mean, listen, if you're a baseball fan like I am and a Yankee fan, I mean, you can't ask for anything better. Judge, Ohtani, Soto, Betts,
yep.
Stanton, Freeman. It's just a plethora of like all-stars and great ball players at the highest stage, with everything on the line. It's like MLB couldn't have dreamed of a better scenario.
Yeah, the only thing to make their scenario better is if it goes 7 games.
7 games, yeah. Exactly.
True.
But we know with those 7 games, that's more money for the players there on the back end. So it's all good. I do think it's going to be a dogfight. I don't think any team's going to lay down. As Chris, I think your intro, you laid out that the top teams at the top are in it, and it's 2 big markets. It's going to be fun to watch. I'll say this: I am my kids are huge Mets fans. As Chris met both of my boys, I mean, absolute diehards, and I think they will still be glued to it, even though it's a Yankees series.
Well, they're great kids, and we're hopefully going to get. I'm hopefully going to get the chance to see them play. Maybe next spring, somewhere we'll have to. We're going to try and get the boys to team up somewhere. But they're awesome kids, and they were like my kids would have been beating each other up under the couch. But they literally sat and just eyes glued to the field, for the 2 games that I saw them.
Chris, I forgot to. I was going to send you a photo, but I couldn't get a photo of him. Game 6. My son, rally towel, full Mets uni, standing in front, wouldn't go. I mean, it's a school night, wouldn't go to bed until the game was over, all that good stuff.
No, that's awesome. They're great kids, and you're doing a great job with that and all the things you're doing. So I'm really I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you for all the stuff you're doing since you stopped playing. And I appreciate you joining. I know you have to jump off, but we'll run it back at some point and get you back on because there's a lot we could talk about, a lot of stuff, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You guys utilize me whenever. I love podcasting. I helped with a show back when I retired. That was what I did in my in one of my gap year there. So I do love this stuff. I'm And now I'll be tuning in. This is my first hearing it. So I will be. I'll get the word out.
All right, Josh, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll be in touch. We got to talk about some other stuff as well. So we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for coming on.
Very good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Josh. See you. All right. So Josh Thole, awesome guy. And I thought that was a great perspective on things. Lou, I have a tendency to agree with them. I think the way these managers are using the pitching, the bullpen is going to be the key. Who's is going to step up in crunch time? That's probably the answer to the question. I think, obviously, like you alluded to, the star power is fantastic, and that's going to be fun to watch that. I know baseball is excited because they have all these marquee names, but as I said, the Tommy Edman was the MVP of the NLCS, and deservedly so. I mean, he just kept stepping up time after time. They moved him to fourth in the order, and which if somebody would have said that to you at the beginning of the season or 5 years ago, you would have been like, what? But look at the guy.
What I love about baseball also, right, is that baseball in the regular season, it's a marathon. In the playoffs, it's a sprint. Right? Yep. It doesn't last 2 months like other leagues, and this is what I love. You know what I mean? It's like it's for Game 6 with the Yanks, or 5 rather, I couldn't stand. I was standing up the whole game. I was standing up. I was like, I can't sit down. I got to watch. I had my boys.
Were you at the game or you home?
No, I was home. I was home. But every game, and especially like the Juan Soto home run, I was with my boys. And we were jumping up and down, and it's like, this is a thing. And I go back to this. Other sports are great. Obviously the NFL, NBA season just started. But something about, your kids and baseball and sharing that with your kids.
It's funny you say that, because unfortunately, because I was working, I couldn't bring my kids with me to the stadium. And I was at every game. So while we were having a great time, and guys, like, I got a chance to reconnect and see Josh, and I had Jose with me, Reyes, and Johnny Franco was with me for every game, and Doc Gooden was with us for every game. Like, we had such a great crew. We had Big Sexy was there, Bartolo, and you name it, Daryl, all these great players. And it was awesome to spend it, but I really do miss that I didn't get a chance to really watch the home games with my boys, because they were into it too, and they were disappointed that the Mets didn't win, like Josh said about his kids. They're big Mets fans, and they were disappointed that they didn't get to the World Series, because they would have loved that, and they would have loved to have been there as well. But unfortunately, it didn't work out this time. But hopefully there'll be other opportunities in the future. And as the old Dodgers used to say, wait till next year as far as the Mets go. But that said, I'm excited for the World Series. I do think it'll be a great series. Lou, I'm going to ask you your prediction. I'm curious. I know you're a homer, so I know you're going to pick the Yankees. But I'm curious. What do you how many games do you think they're going to win it in? And if you said no, you're wrong, I'm picking the Dodgers, I'm going to probably fall off this chair. So,
well, I'm not picking the Dodgers. I respectfully disagree with Josh, and I think for me is the Yankees starting pitching today, as we're speaking today, is superior to the Dodgers starting pitching. They can go further in the game. Cole, Rodon, Schmidt, Heel, these guys that they have, these 4 guys are capable of going longer. Doesn't mean they're going to go 6-7 innings. They're not going to. But if you're getting 5, 6 innings from these guys, that shortens the bullpen, which keeps your guys fresh, more fresh. So I think that for me is going to be the difference, in this series, is going to be the starting pitching. To me,
well, listen, you both could be right, because the Yankees starting pitching, you might be right on, but the Dodgers, I think, will rely more on their bullpen. And if the Dodgers bullpen is as effective as the Yankees starting pitching, then you're leveling,
but also off. Keep in mind, statistically, Cleveland's 4 bullpen arms were superior, were #1, and the Yankees, look what they did, right? Well, this is what the Yankees and the Dodgers do. They take walks, they take pitches. And so I think, that's why I think, from a hitting perspective, these teams are so evenly matched. I mean, Betts, Soto, like really, it's a toss-up. Judge, Ohtani, toss-up. Like, and these, then you got the Kike Hernandezes of the world. And then we have, the Gleyber Torreses of the world. Gleyber was, persona non grata for the whole year. All of a sudden, he's banging out hits like it's crazy. So, listen, I don't want it to go 7 games because that means it's the 7th game at Dodger Stadium. But I think this is going to be a long series because I think there's going to be, some haymakers here, man. And I think it's just going to be fun. I think in a crazy way, having this time off, the anticipation building towards Friday is going to be insane. So I think there's a lot of good things.
No, I think I think I agree with you. That's kind of a cool thing, the lead up and the break and all that stuff. But I do, as when I put my agent hat back on, as I'm supposed to be doing on this show, as the players go, it's hard because you got to turn it back on again instead of, because when you're, and again, I can even say this as a team employee from when I was working with the Mets, you're like riding the wave. It just doesn't, and it doesn't end, it just keeps going. So as an employee, I can't even imagine as a player, but obviously representing players for all these years and doing all the things I've done in the game, like it's a wave. So you're riding the wave, and to have the wave kind of crash and you're just kind of waiting, but you're still in the middle of it. It's a weird thing, and it definitely throws things off a little. Will that have an effect on the series? It will. What the effect will be, I have no idea. Will it help one of the teams or the other? Don't know. Yeah. But I'm going to predict that I have the Dodgers in 6. I think this is their year. I think when you see these guys stepping up that are getting the job done, I think they're very tough to beat. They have a lot of good complementary players. I think their bullpen is excellent. Obviously, the stars at the top of the order. I think an X factor is Freddie Freeman. I mean, how is he feeling and how healthy is? If he's there healthy, that's 3 out of your 9 in your lineup that are 3 of probably the top 10 hitters in the game.
Well, he's not going to be healthy. We know that. It's just how.
But is he going to be able to play? Because he was barely moving, the last couple of days I saw him at Citi Field.
Yeah. And
so is this week gonna, whatever it is or whatever X amount of days it's going to be, is that going, the week off, is that going to help him to, get through, which seems like an extremely painful injury?
Yeah. Now, I can talk about this from a fan perspective, but I want you to talk about it from a player perspective. How amped are these players? We talk about the layoff, right? But when the lights go on and you're in Dodger Stadium at 5:08, West Coast time, and people are going crazy, I would assume it has to kind of raise you, right? As a player.
No, there's no question about it. I mean, there's no question about it. The excitement in the air, it's a different level when it comes to so weird. It's a different level when it comes to the postseason. And as I said, when you have a full crowd, it's just a difference maker. We talk about it in other sports as well. I mean, and I know that's one of the criticisms at University of Miami, that sometimes they don't have a full house. They've been on the road the last couple of weeks, and the level of the fans, they carry some of these teams to make them better. So again, a Dodger crowd and a Yankee crowd are complete opposite ends of the spectrum, but a Dodger World Series crowd is definitely a much better level than like a Dodger crowd on May 12th on a Tuesday night or something.
You're not leaving in the 7th inning. It's the point.
No, I don't think so. And again, you're going to be talking loaded with celebrities. Every pan in the crowd, you're going to see somebody famous, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Some of them might be Yankee fans, but I think for me, it's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to the series, and I think it'll be a very good series. And I think the Yankees, you know, again, I don't want to take it away from them because I just think they had an easy road. I told you that when they won. I congratulated you, yeah, you know, because I'm a class act. But but I do think they had a very easy road. Again, will that help them? Maybe it helps them. Maybe it hurts them. I don't know. Yeah. There's so many little questions that have to be answered. And those are probably inside those questions or probably be the answer to who wins this and why they win it. So yeah. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I do wish you the best of luck, kinda. And we'll see what happens. I think that's where we end the discussion.
I think so. I think we will have an idea. For me, by game 3, we'll have a sense, really, right? Because, first game, first game is a toss-up. Who knows? So many things could happen. They're playing 2 games in LA, then they have the day off, then they come to New York. What's going to be nice, though, is the weather is going to be cooperating here on the East Coast. So yeah, that's going to be really nice. So, I hate when you have like the rain and then it's not that great.
No, the weather looks good. I think it's nice to have the home field advantage for the series, but on the same token, I think the pressure goes right on you because you almost have to win both games, and if you lose one, the visiting the team who doesn't have the home field advantage kind of takes the advantage back, and then the pressure goes onto them that they have to try and close it out while they're home. Yeah, and if they can't, then the series shifting back. So I think that's another dynamic all to it together. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Go Yankees! Anyway, Chris, it's been fun. We'll catch you on the next one. We're gonna
Lou, we forgot one thing.
Wait a minute. The Miami Minute.
Yes. Let's go. Really quickly, I just want to. World Series is in the air, and it's a beautiful thing. I personally will be enjoying the weather in South Florida. The Miami Hurricanes, my Miami Hurricanes, will be taking on their state rival, Florida State, in a big game. Florida State isn't having their best year, so sorry for that. But looking forward to being down there. I have my shirt on, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Notre Dame. But I will tell you this. Rivalry games are rivalry games. I'm not taking it for granted, but I hope we just put it on these guys this year. We're due to make that happen, and I am very excited to go down there. Look, people ask me all the time, who do you hate more, Florida, Florida State? It's not a question. I hate Florida much, 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 much more. Florida State is the Timu version of Miami. They're like a little brother, that you never wanted, but they're like a little brother, and they're the Timo version of the U. And Cam Ward, we have Cam Ward. He's just willing us to victory, and Michael Irvin on the sideline for every game.
Yes,
and I can't wait for that rivalry, and I'm hoping the crowd will turn out on Saturday night for the big game. So it's all about the U, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll see you again soon. Next week, World Series mid-series update. We'll see you soon. Thanks again, Lou. Thanks to Josh Thole. Take care. Hall of Fame vodka. Hall of Fame vodka.
Yes. Hall of Fame vodka.